Welcome back to Eat the Canvas, where it is my goal to inspire you to grow more of what you eat. And on today's episode, I want to get into why I got into gardening. And if you've been watching this channel, I'm curious to know why you did too, or why you're even interested in watching. Let's get to it. So, to get straight into it, number one was I realized how reliant I was upon a store to feed me and my family. Now, some of you all might be thinking, well, isn't that obvious? But it was not until the time of when COVID was spreading around. I went to the store to do our normal grocery shopping, and we get a lot of produce. When I went into the produce section, some of you might have experienced this as well. There was not much. There were no lemons, no limes, no garlic. There were barely any to none as far as herbs are concerned. Onions. There wasn't much of anything really, other than a lot of boxed things in the middle of the store. And even the meat section. I mean, I joke about this often, but I really feel like I only saw 7 pork chops left in the whole meat section. These are at pretty big stores, multiple. So I had this moment of realizing, wow, I am really reliant upon a store to feed me and my family. I'm really reliant upon this process of farm, all in between, to the store, to then get to my table. I had no reason to realize that or to even consider that because there was always just food at the store. So when the system's working great, it's great. And when it's not, or when there's any disruption between that chain, you begin to see how fragile it can be if one thing goes wrong. And for me, I begin to see, I realize that, you know what? Whatever I can do to supply, even if it's a small percent of what we eat at our home, then that's what I'm going to do, so that I don't have a full reliance upon an entity who might not care particularly about feeding me and my family. I'd rather, for as much as I can at least, take the reins of that, the responsibility of that, and do what it is that I can and grow year by year by year. And a quick add to that. One day I would like more space. I would like more land. But for now, what I have is what I have. And I could either have chosen to say, you know what, I'm not going to do anything until I can actually grow something that's substantial. Or I can start here. And I think of what my dad told me years ago. He asked me, son, have you been saving? And I said, at that time, no, I'm not making enough to save. And he said, so you're telling me that you can't save $5 a week? I can't remember what I responded, but I remember thinking, well, that's not going to do anything. And he probably knew that that's what I was thinking, and proceeded to say, if you at least save $5 a week, you would have X amount of money next year versus nothing. So this time next year, if I ask you how much you have, at least you will have this versus nothing. And that's a very true principle that can relate to many things. Maybe you have a small nook of a yard and you say, well, I can't grow anything, so I'm not going to grow anything because I can't grow anything substantial. So you don't grow at all. Maybe you just have a balcony, you're living in an apartment, and you say, I can't grow much, I'm not going to grow at all. Maybe you don't even have a balcony, and you just say, I have a windowsill, that's it. I can't grow anything substantial, so I'm not going to grow at all. Truth is, if you can grow something, you can grow something. Whatever that something is that you grow is one less thing you have to buy at a store. Regardless of if it is seen as substantial or not, the truth is, it is something. It is one less thing that you have to buy at a store. And there are many ways, many creative ways that people grow indoors nowadays. I haven't even stepped into that arena yet, but people are growing a nice amount of food indoors nowadays. So maybe one day I'm gonna consider learning more about that process, but people are doing it. Point is, if all you can save is $5 a week, save $5 a week. If all you can grow is some parsley on your windowsill, grow parsley on your windowsill. Don't be like the person that says, once I get $1 million, then I will fill in the blank. Or once I get more space or more land, then I will grow more. As true as that might be, if you start where you are right now, at least you won't be at stage infancy when you get that increase, if you get that increase, and then have to learn everything right at that moment. Why not learn to crawl now? Learn to get on your feet now, learn to walk now, so that when you get that next stage, you hit the ground running. Now that will probably be my longer point. That's the point I'm the most passionate about. But point number two, reason number two of why I decided to grow is because it's the freshest that you can get. Now in stores, you might see things, products labeled as fresh for marketing purposes, for, you know, the image of that item. But the truth is, the more something sits on a shelf, the moment it's been picked really is the moment that slowly it starts dying. Slowly the nutrients in it begin to die off. When you're growing something and you pick it straight from that plant or straight from that tree and you eat it, that is the freshest that you can ever get to. That is the peak of freshness. That is true freshness. So that is my reason number two. Reason number three is that I know how the items were grown. I know what was put on it. I think the more that time has gone by is the more that we have been more conscious of how our food is grown and what it's grown with. And when we're growing it ourselves, I can be 100% guaranteed, other than what might fall from the sky onto the soil and to the plants, I can be 100% sure that nothing was put on that tomato, or nothing was sprayed on that banana. I know for a fact what was put on and what was not put on the food that we eat. And that's part of the control that I like. As I said, other than what might fall from the sky. Reason number four is that it's relaxing. Now, I know there could be different thoughts when it comes to this part. I can say for sure that we are not in a place where we are growing like purely for survival. Like we're growing so that we can provide 80, 90, 100% of our food. That's not what we're doing. And I know some people who might be doing that, they might have those relaxing times in the garden, but also they will have a lot more than myself. They will have a lot more times of, this is not relaxing, this is hard work. So I would say that that's not where we are at right now. I wouldn't even say we're growing, 20% of our food, probably even less than that actually. Now, I know that we can grow more, for sure, but I have not as of yet. So as of now, it is just very relaxing. Even those who would say it's a lot of work really appreciates it, and they would say there are just those moments of relaxation when you are just walking outside, when you're seeing things grow or how they grow, when you're harvesting those fruits and vegetables, when you're out there tending to your garden or your small farm. You're not thinking of, at least for me and those I know of, you're not thinking of all the stresses of life. You're not thinking of what you're worried about. It's a place, it's a space where your mind is just focused on nature and what nature is doing for you and what you're doing with nature. It's beautiful. Reason number five is the special one. It's the opportunity to connect with others. Now, those in my neighborhood, they see me all the time in the garden. Like, they know this is what I do. And it's so amazing the conversations that you have with people. when they see the questions that they ask. I mean, even when you see that 50, 60, 70-year-old person coming by and their face lights up like they're a kid because they're remembering how they did things in Jamaica or in Cuba or in Haiti or the islands. Like they remember that, and it brings them back to this place that you can see in their face that they cherish. And I'm not saying, you can't cherish things, here, but it's so amazing to see. And their faces lit up, they're excited, they're sharing with you what they did, they're asking you what things are in your garden, and even the opportunity to share plants with people. And then they come back months later and tell you how it's grown, what it's produced for them. So that in itself is such a beautiful experience. And that's the one thing I really, really love about gardening. It's the opportunity to connect with others. Now, point 6 is a quick one. Outside, in sunlight, physically connecting with nature. This is how things were from the beginning. So it only makes sense that even though we've had amazing technological advancements, that certain aspects of things are to our benefit to keep. And this is one of them. There have been plenty of studies that show the longevity of life that attaches itself to people who have more of a gardening outside lifestyle. So why not? Now my 7th and last reason brings me back to where this video first started. And that is the wow factor. When I look at things and I see them grow and I see the food that is produced, all I can think is wow. And it has not gotten old yet, and I hope it does not get old, because there's gratitude here, there's an appreciation here for food that my hands were able to put in the ground and watch grow to where it is right now. This is the wow factor. It never gets old, and it gets me excited about coming out into the garden. Wow. 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 And I can go on and on and on, but I think the point is understood. This is amazing. So, my question to you, if you've been watching these videos, is why do you garden? And if you don't, but you watch these videos, what has you interested in being here? I love to have you regardless. So this is Eat the Canvas. Write your responses below, and thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time.